Did Will Smith really smack Chris Rock in the face?
Hi, guys. Welcome back to our podcast, Filtered. We are so excited to have you on today. I'm Celine.
I'm Sharon.
I'm Benita.
I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Hannah.
And today we are doing our last episode of the Breaking the Mold series. Our last episode was a brief intermission in our series, but we're back on it with our last episode. And today we have a special guest with us, Joel Abraham.
Thank you all for the invite. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to be in front of you all.
It's an honor to have you on. What are you saying?
Thank you.
So Joel works in production technology. He's been involved with media production at events like the World Cup, Olympics, presidential inauguration, and several award shots, as well as the Met Gala. That's a lot.
No biggie.
Can you explain a little bit to us of what production technology is?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in my world, I work with the company called Getty Images. So with what I do primarily is pretty much set up the infrastructure, network infrastructure, server infrastructure, so that our photographers and videographers can transmit their content on site to our editors. That is either on site, remote, or wherever, and we can get those content in and get to our editors and to our customers really quickly. So from the beginning, it's a lot of process from meetings to walkthroughs to a lot of hotels and a lot of traveling. But yeah, it's a lot of fun from when I first began in technology and production.
Did you always see yourself here?
I kind of did. I think growing up, I always wanted to be in the broadcast and the production technology world. I don't know what kid at the age of 8 or 9 years old would ever want to work in in the production world or the broadcast world. Like growing up, I never wanted to be an athlete. I never wanted to be a musician. I never wanted to do any of that. I wanted to be the person that actually produces these events, that works on these events. Even when I was a kid, like I remember seeing my first Olympics or World Cup, and I remember I want to work there instead of playing at the Olympics or playing at the World Cup. I don't know why. That was just always my dream. But yeah, I mean, I get to do that every day now. It's a dream come true, but sometimes it's a pain. It's a huge pain too. It's a blessing in disguise.
I feel like when I was a kid, I didn't even think about working events. I was like, I want to be that person, the main person. How did you like have that mindset? Okay, I want to be behind the scenes producing this. Like,
were you exposed to that in some way?
Not at all. I think growing up, it's just more like I think there's so much in productions, there's so much in technology, just seeing behind the scenes, there's an art to it, right? Producing even like this podcast, there's an art to it in how you guys research topics and how everything is produced. I think we forget how all these things come together. You know, how a building comes together, how a production comes together, how an event comes together, just so many steps in that process. We all tend to just take it as we see fit, or we see it on TV, or as we see it on with our own eyes. But being able to just get yourself in that mess of getting yourself messy, you know, learning about other stuff that you're not, and getting uncomfortable. And I think it's just a process. It's a process that you learn, and it's a process that you have to deal with, process that you just have to kind of get around and getting to know. It's hard as a kid, especially like directing your life, being like, hey, I want to go into broadcast, I want to go into production.
Yeah, I don't think I even knew what broadcast and production was.
Yeah.
It's actually crazy because I remember when you were younger, you would do like the whole family photo shoots and like you would do the photo shoot thing. Like you can tell you were passionate about that. and to see that you actually like went into a career that is associated with that. So it's actually really cool that you turned your dream into something.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that goes a long way for everybody. I think for me, it wasn't easy at first. Even starting out, I think going into photography, especially when DSLR cameras came out and became really affordable in the end of 2000s. Um, I remember when I first got my DSLR. This is around 2007, 2008. Started playing around with that. And then the whole market of YouTube, social media, everything just started skyrocketing. And we had no idea where any of these markets were going to go. So there's so much creativity out there at that time. And even now, it is ridiculous to the amount of creativity that is out there with people and with just regular content creators, right? So seeing that age of, people just getting a simple camera and being able to grow into their passion or going with that passion and seeing where we end up. I mean, I always wanted to become produce cinemas. That was my dream, and that is still my dream. Hopefully, maybe not produce cinemas, maybe just direct cinemas or
Oh
just
my
shoot cinemas.
God.
Wow.
I cannot write movies. I cannot write stories from my life. I am terrible at storytelling. That's why I it is it's just a passion that you just kind of have to deal with, like you just have to go through and you have to explore your passion that you had as a kid, even if it's like whatever it is. It's so easy to say, but it's really hard to do, of course. But yeah, you can make a career out of anything, I feel like, especially now.
What were some steps that you took to like pursue your passion and get into that production side?
I don't think what I'm doing right now actually was never expected. I never expected to turn out this way at all. I started off in IT. I started off studying computer science. I started off just going through the motions of, okay, I got to go to school. I got to go to work, just get a job and just keep working. But I totally forgot that I love events. So when I joined my second professional company with Getty, um, I started to, just work, go through the motions of just going to work, going to school, doing all that. But then I had really good coworkers around me. So one thing that I had to learn, really, because it was really difficult for me. I'm much of an introvert. I am not an extrovert at all. And I had to learn how to be an extrovert. I had to learn how to network. So a lot of my coworkers enabled me to network and to accept me to be like, all right, come out, enjoy, hang out, let's do some activities. So from that, it kind of grew into, all right, these are the steps in order to grow into a role that you really want, or in order to get somewhere in life. It's not just working and getting a degree and getting all the money that you can, just to make yourself happy in just your personal life. There's more for me that I just wanted to go into events, and I knew people in my network in that area I wanted to talk to. I need to need to have FaceTime with. So I got that. And that's where it all just completely exploded, where I started getting in, hanging out with the right people. I just started talking to them about all these different things, started even sacrificing my own time just to learn about these events, learning about technology in this world that I had no clue about, and started learning it. And from my background, you guys know, from the church, like we used to produce a lot of videos. We used to produce a lot of, used to hook up a lot of technology cameras, all these things, video switchers. So that all kind of played a role as well, where I was just able to have that conversation. So that kind of directed me in that step in networking. And I think that was the biggest thing I didn't know you had to have. I thought it was a degree. I thought it was going to school, but it's about networking.
I love that you mentioned that because I feel like a lot of times we get kind of lost in that, oh, I have to go to school and then I have to go to my job, which what is what I studied at. Like, like you think it's like a straight line and then you kind of forget that it's about building a community. It's about like talking to people and kind of formulating your own thoughts and opinions, and that's how you get to a place that like you're passionate about, because I feel like you don't even know what you're passionate about until you start talking with people. Like you don't even know what's out there, like what kind of jobs like are waiting for you
Absolutely.
unless you talk to different types of people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I feel like we
Absolutely.
always forget to do that. I'm an introvert too, and I hate
Mm-hmm.
talking to people. It's so scary to me. But I feel like that's what's limiting me from reaching whatever potential I have.
Mhm.
Yeah. And you have to get, I think one thing that I've always told people and my coworkers and people that I've talked to in the past is I learned how to be uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And I want to be uncomfortable in situations. And that's when you learn a lot about yourself and about others, about the skills that you can actually gain. So being comfortable in your own skin, in certain situations, in certain environments, um, is not, it's not the best route for a
Mhm.
long-term growth. So if you want a stable growth, totally go for it. You can go your own route, you can go at your own pace. But if you want a radical growth for yourself, for the long term,
Mhm.
definitely get out of your comfort zone. Talk to those people. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be always perfect all the time. Trust me, I've messed up so many times in talking to people or even introducing myself or even just being upfront. And it's okay. It's okay to mess up.
Mhm.
You don't have to be perfect, but it's just that
Mhm.
one little effort that you do put forth in front of people. It's just like, all right, this person is always present. This
Mhm.
person always loves to be uncomfortable. They will
Mhm.
start recognizing that more than you messing up.
Yeah, that's right. And I know you said that you creating community and talking to people is kind of how you got your foot into the door of Getty, right?
Right.
So, can you talk about some of the challenges you have faced being someone of color and not having other people who are similar to you to turn to for advice? Or even, did you even go through that? I'm just assuming.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think growing up, especially coming to this country right after 9/11, it was very
Mhm.
difficult. I think we all experienced some way, shape, or form of, racism in all of our lives, right? No matter what color you are, no matter what culture you're from, religion, a language that you speak, we all have faced some type of pressure from society.
Mhm.
Um, I think after that, I never looked at myself as a person I never looked at my color. I
Mhm.
never looked at my color to be an obstacle for me. Because at the end of the day, um, yes, gender kind of plays a role, of course. I 100% admit that.
Mhm.
But however, I tend to ignore all those pressures and just say, hey, this is what I want, and this is what I'm going to get, and this is what I want to achieve. So I just look at the dreams that I've built up since I was a kid, and I just look into that. And I'm a huge believer in just you can make your dreams come true if you really believe in it. I know it sounds so simple, but just whatever you have as a kid, just look into those things.
Mhm.
Even if you wanted to be around, like one of my biggest passions was being around cars, being around traveling. I've always wanted to be on a plane, all those things. And now I hate being on a plane. I hate taking flights. I'm constantly on flights. I hate it.
No, yeah, I was gonna ask, like, you travel a lot for all of these events, right?
Right.
Do you find it that it's draining, or like do you feel like sometimes you can get burnt out?
Oh, absolutely. It is really draining. at times. When you're traveling and doing assignments for 2 to 3 months, doing short-term stays in different countries, different cities, taking on different cultures, learning different cultures, different languages, it can
Mhm.
be really difficult. Um, so it kind of, and you don't have, like, for instance, like I just don't have the same relationships with my friends or families that I had before when I was just here back in New York.
Yeah.
It's very difficult just to maintain those relationships or to start a lifestyle that you really want when you're constantly on the road. But I think it's also a really huge gift for me to travel and being there are challenges along the way, of course, just, packing up your suitcase every week,
Mhm.
washing your clothes every week, or being in your smelly clothes for a week or two.
Oh my God.
Um, it's terrible. Not being in the best hotel or not having the best food, eating at like 12 a.m., 1 a.m. It's terrible. But these are the journeys that kind of make you tougher, and you
Mhm.
learn about new cultures, new languages, new places that you never dreamt of. And that's where I can kind of segue into that previous question of, what kind of, why haven't I faced those pressures, or why haven't I seen that pressure in my life? It's just because, you have to look into what you really want to achieve. If you want to achieve greatness, if you want to achieve your dreams, you can look at the pressures of your own life. I have so many limitations in my life when I was growing up, but I never looked into those limiting factors. Growing up, I remember when I was going to college, I was working. I was working all throughout high school. I was working all throughout my college career. I never had a college lifestyle. Never was able to go out during college. Even at Getty, I was still going to college at the same time, and it was really difficult because I used to work in the city, then used to take the train back to Suffolk County to go to school late at night.
Wow.
Used to
Wow.
come back home at like 12 a.m., 1 a.m., do the same thing at 6 a.m., go back to work,
Oh my
um,
God.
like 5 to 6 days a week. And it used to be really difficult, but you just have to stop looking at, your limiting factors and your pressures, and kind of have to look at what you really want. Because it's so easy to get so fed up and so complain about your pressures, complain about our limiting factors, finances, whatever it is. Of course, there are definitely, limiting factors if it's with health, if it's with certain limitations.
Mhm.
It can be troublesome, but that's part of our journey. That's part of our life.
So basically, everyone suck it up and do what you gotta do. Do what
Exactly.
you gotta do.
For real, right
100%.
now I'm like, dang, I really do be complaining a lot because we all complain like so much, but at the end of the day, I'm like, well, it's not like I'm in something I don't want to do. Like I'm so blessed, and I'm pursuing nursing and all this stuff, but I'm like, I'm complaining about everything, but at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm gonna be a nurse. So I'm
Yeah.
like, why am I complaining? Gosh, I feel convicted.
And also from these past couple of episodes that we've had and the people we've had, this is like a common factor. We mentioned it before. Everyone that we've had on has chosen something that they were passionate on and something that, they were pursuing while growing up. And the only thing that they had to do was step out of their comfort zone and actually
Mhm.
choose to do this. And because they're careers that are not, as popular as some other ones, they did have these limiting factors and they had all these different complications and everything, but they were genuinely passionate about it and they just kept going, kept pushing. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Like, it's not, but when I got this job offer initially, I was very doubtful of
Mhm.
what I really wanted in life at the time, because I probably got that events job around 24, 25. And since COVID, I mean, years just gone by so quickly.
yeah.
So even before I was doing events as well, before I got into the events role, I was scared. I was honestly scared to say, I don't know where I'm going to be tomorrow. I don't know where I'm going to be to take care of my family or take care of what I need to do, or if this is going to be, being an introvert, and like, would I be able to achieve the things that my team is currently doing right now? Am I up for it? Am I up for these challenges? And sometimes you just gotta jump. You just gotta
Yeah.
take that leap of faith and know that this is for you.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's not, just being able to learn, and you will get something out of it.
So like your industry, right? Would you say that like everyone is like supportive or very much like cutthroat, like everyone's fighting, not fighting, but like fighting to get to the top? Like, you know how like sometimes there's industries where you have to like watch your back or like be careful who you're trusting. Like, is it kind of like that as well, or is it more like everyone's supportive and everyone's trying to like do what's best for
Help each other.
Yeah.
I think in our industry, it is a little bit different. I mean, one thing that I did not know in my industry was I did not know how small it was. The biggest events in the world that happens that we see on a day-to-day basis on TV, from concerts to all these big events, it's actually run by a very small group of people from coast to coast. So this week is Oscars week. So I'm flying out tomorrow to LA.
No
Wow.
biggie, just Oscar.
That's crazy.
So
I'll be watching it looking for you.
so seeing people at like the same production people, the same camera people, the same from every aspect of the events people, they're the same group of people that are going to be doing the other big event, the big concert, the big, the Billy Joel concert, the Sam Smith concerts, to Beyonce concerts, to Olympics, to Super Bowls, to everything that you can think of. So we actually get a lot of FaceTime with the same group of people. So we all tend to work together. And we all tend to be friends with each other and build that community. So if somebody's in trouble, I remember giving rides to people that I don't even know, but I know that they worked at this event. So I'm just like, hey, we met before, and I just put them in my car, and I know we're going to the same place. And
That's
then,
some trust.
right? But yeah, it can be cutthroat at times, but it really depends on what kind of community and what kind of group of people that you want to have around you. If you want to have those types of people, you can attract those types of people. But if you want a reliable group of people, you have to put in the work to build that community. And it can be very difficult at times because people do move around.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really up to you.
For these events, do you get to like pick which ones you go to, or they're just like, no, this event is happening, you're the one selected to go?
Certain times, like we're a little bit more free in our team and in our organization. We get to choose what we want to go to. There are a couple of events that I kind of am in charge of that I just have, like New York Fashion Week is my event. Met Gala is my event. Like there are certain events like Final Four, March Madness. It's like my event.
That's crazy.
Country music is my events.
That is
So
wow.
I never know. I don't know a thing about country music before I got into this role, and I love country music now.
No way.
cool.
They turned you.
I love
Yeah.
country.
Come back
So-
to New York. Your roots.
It's great though. It's so good to have those experiences. And yeah, I get to choose my own events, and some events like we can't choose. Some events that you're assigned to, and that you kind of have to go to, for a long term, for 2 months, 3 months out of the year. So,
Do you see yourself staying in this industry long term, or like?
you know what? That is one of the questions that I've been asking to myself for the past 2 years. The past 2.5 years has been very difficult for me with travel, only because of we had major events happening back to back, especially with the Olympics. So doing back to back major events is very difficult. And last year was one of the most difficult year for me with travel, and not being home and not having a good healthy lifestyle either. So when I think about all those experiences, is it difficult? And do I want to stay in it? It's questionable. but do I love the experiences, and do I love, going and seeing these concerts, seeing these events, seeing these people? Heck
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to be boastful about it for a quick second. It's just like, yeah, do I want to go to the most biggest events in the world? Heck yeah. Why not? You know, do I want to work it? Yeah, it really depends. Sometimes do I like to just want to be an attendee at an event? Yeah, I
Do you
do.
get the same perks?
Certain times. I mean, we do have flexibility in, mingling with talent and all these things. One of the coolest experiences is that it's just being able to be in front of talent, be in front of
Mhm.
people that you see on TV, or you listen to, or that you grew up with listening to, or seeing on magazines, and seeing them in person. 100%, it is definitely a big moment, but after you get used to it, you're just kind of like, all right, they're just doing their job, just like you are. So I don't have a starstruck moment. Maybe like the first time when I first used to do events, but yeah,
Oh, you don't get starstruck anymore?
not really.
That's
That's
Wow.
crazy.
crazy.
Wait. So in the past, who was your biggest like the starstruck moment? Like, are you allowed to tell us?
I think so. Yeah, I think there were a lot of moments. I mean, a lot of people that I've was fortunate enough to meet and see and perform. I think one of the biggest moments for me was actually recently. I was just doing Grammys out in LA, and they're just doing this whole hip hop scene right now, hip hop history. So
Here.
all of the hip hop artists from the 70s through the 2000s performed on
Mhm.
stage, and I was able to witness that. And being able to witness that, and in a group of people, in a group of talent that defined music, that created music, created genres, it's a big moment. It's like you're listening to the Grandmaster Flash on Spotify, seeing him in person, and you're like, wow, you know and you get to see all these people on one stage, or Run DMC, LL Cool J. And the other person that I really wanted to see, a big moment for me, was seeing Willie Nelson, country artist back in the day, 60s,
Mm.
70s. Um, Seeing him perform, God, that just made it for me. Um, there were a lot of country artists that I wanted to see, and I got to see them, you know.
That's
And we're talking
crazy.
about old country artists.
You're so humble talking about these things. I'd be like on a banner. I saw these
Bro,
people.
if you can tell how different we are, I'd be like meeting like not even famous pastors, like pastors on like Power Vision TV, and I'd be like, oh my god, those are my starstruck moments. And you're out here meeting like
No,
the most.
we were watching the hip hop performance at home, and we were screaming and jumping from the
Yo,
couches.
my mom, I don't even know if hopefully she doesn't listen to this, but my mom saw LL Cool J. Yo, she lost it. I
Jumping.
thought she was about to faint. And like, imagine she saw him in real life. I think she would legit be in the hospital or something.
And
That's
there are so many
crazy.
and there's so many people that you would think, oh, they give an attitude, or they're different in the industry. 100%. Like, there's so many pressures of, doing these shows and doing these
Mhm.
events. A lot of people are burnt out. Some people, it's really difficult to be at those events and to show, a entertainment when a lot of people are going through a lot of things.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
are people going through trouble with their health or with their family. And I'm talking about people who are working as well. Um, and it can be very difficult to be out on the road and say, hey, I have to do this event. I have to get away from family. I can't talk to you. And to be absent, it's very hard. It
Mhm.
can be very hard. But those little moments of meeting somebody, or talking with somebody, or talking with the talent that you always wanted to see, kind of takes you back, and you're like, wow, I really like this job. I really like what I'm doing. Um, And sometimes it's just talking to your loved one and being like, I want to be home.
Yeah.
And it's great to be home.
What has kind of like helped you keep your passion lit in this industry? Because, like you said, it's so easy to get burnt out and tired of everything that you're experiencing and all the hardship that you have to face. So, how do you stay passionate about that?
I think personally for me was just learning about new cultures and traveling to places and technology. Being able to have creativity. I love to create new technology and new services in the technology world. So that for me, being restricted was not something that I could sign up for. So in the world that I'm in right now, I'm able to create new technology without any limitations. I am super free in creating what I want to and implementing it for certain events, big time events. And I'm just like, you guys are trusting me with this? And I
Yeah.
myself wouldn't even trust myself. But yeah, it's just having that creativity. It's just, and traveling is um, one of the biggest learning experience for me. I think travel, it's so easy to say like, hey, you want to travel, but what kind of travel do you want to do? Do you want to do vacations or do you want to really travel? Vacations and traveling, are two different things.
Mm.
Being able to travel and learn new cultures, trying new food, getting out of your comfort zone, not having a car, not having a taxi, being able to be walking in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of the night back to your hotel or to a restaurant that you want to try out. Those are all these experiences that you just have to give yourself to. Even trying, sometimes even I have experiences where I almost got arrested by, you know, like military, by police force, by like people that don't even speak English. And those are the experiences you look back. Sometimes I forget. I forget all these experiences have happened until I look at the photos, or sometimes people start talking about it like, oh my God, that really happened. We almost got arrested.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
Oh,
all those moments are just like, you know, you think about it, you're like, that's what travel is all about. It's not
Getting
about,
arrested? What?
it is, yeah, those are just part of the experiences.
like making memories.
Making memories. It's things that you'll ever
Those
remember.
I'm just kidding.
And
Listen,
it's
he's
not,
fine. He's not in jail, y'all. He's fine.
I'm just
hopefully,
kidding.
it has not happened yet. But I think that there's a lot of creativity in everything that we do, in all of our fields that we do from
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I never got to realize until I started to get into these events is like being behind the scenes all the time was great. Being able to produce events was great. But being able to recognize what everybody does in all these different events, from talking about security to medical people on standby to volunteers just holding up signs, or even other people just being friendly. Everybody has a role in these events, right? So you get to see all these different aspects, and you're like, wow, it takes a village to produce an event. And yes, it only lasts 3 hours, 4 hours. It might just
Mm-hmm.
last even 1 hour, but it takes months and years of preparation just to come to that moment and to that, hour, and being able to produce this. And you're just so, you take a step back and you see how everybody has a role,
Mm-hmm.
and you can get creative with it. So I always thought, like, for instance, I know a lot of you are in the medical field. So being in the medical field, like, you can be stuck in a hospital, right? But there's nothing wrong with that. But there are people out there at events where there are medical people on standby. They
Mm-hmm.
volunteer their time or they are assigned to it, and they just love that, being around that.
Mm-hmm.
Even at Olympics, like major events, there are medical people on standby, and you get to see them. And you're like, wow, there are people who actually get hurt, and they save them or whatever it is. We've seen a lot of crazy stuff, where people do faint, people do have accidents, and there are people out there that are trained to treat them. Or even if people are lost, you know how many times like people who don't speak the same language just come up to volunteers and they ask, "Hey, where do I go?" And
Yeah.
they're able to translate for you and they're able to point you into the right direction. And you have no idea how much that means for a person who's been traveling, you know, God knows, 24 to 36 hours. And just somebody to point a direction saying that's the way makes a huge difference.
That's it, everybody. We're going and pointing the way for people at the
Yep.
Olympics.
Guys, BRB, I'm
I'll be
gonna
on
go
medical standby.
medical
We're
volunteer
all
my
applying for that
services.
job.
Joel sees all of us at the Olympics.
It'd be great to see you all.
We're like
There's
doing
a role for
CPR.
everybody.
We're like doing CPR. Hey Joel, how are you?
And that's the thing. You could actually sign up for it to be a volunteer at the Olympics that's coming out in LA in 2028. So definitely look for
No
it.
way.
I just had a quick question. Like you said, like this career is we don't see it often in the brown community. And we were just wondering, like, were your parents supportive about you jumping into this career, or like has their mindset changed as they've seen your success and everything?
Well, it's kind of they feel indifferent,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in what I do and you know where I am a lot of times.
Yeah.
Because I've always said when I was younger I wanted to go into the movies. I always wanted to go into the cinemas, and it's something that my parents did not see growing up. You know, cinema that they knew growing up was the Bollywood world. So, and seeing the Hollywood world as well, it is like you mentioned before, it can be cutthroat.
Mm-hmm.
But until you get into that world and start making that community and start putting that effort in to know where you like to direct yourself, you choose your own path. You know, with my parents, I don't, to say bluntly, sometimes I don't care what they want for me. It's about what I want for myself. Because at the end of the day, I have to live with my choices and with my decision
Mm-hmm.
for the next 5 years, 10 years, or how many ever years I want to be in this field. Um, and it's hard to tell them the reality of it because you're living your reality every single day.
Yeah.
So if you're getting up and you're going to a career that you hate because somebody else told you so, I think that's like a reality check. But it's something that you love to do every single day. You're getting up, and sometimes it can be difficult. It's not going to be all rainbows and
Yeah.
glitters all the time. You know, even with my job as well, like I love it, but there are times when, like last year was really difficult for me.
Yeah.
Health wise, it was just super challenging for me getting up every day and telling myself, like, Joel, you have to work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to be attentive, you have to be sharp. um, it can be very difficult.
Right.
We all go through certain challenges along the way, and you have to learn. You have to learn to be patient. You have to be learn to talk with family, and I think
Yeah.
it's one of the biggest right now as I'm growing up and being away from home. One thing that I always come back to is my family,
Yeah.
and it's what I want. No matter how many friends or coworkers that I deal with, every time I come back, and it goes across the board with our coworkers as well. They love coming back to their family. So what do I do when I first come back? I see my parents, then I go visit my cousins, and my little cousins as well, and they just make the world for me. Like within the first 2 to 3 days, anytime I come back, I always visit family, and it just makes you feel like at home.
Yeah.
And no matter where you go, that just makes me feel like home, and you start to treasure those little moments, you know.
Yeah.
It's like a reminder to like that your family is really your foundation, because if you don't have that, because even like the way you're explaining it, it seems like when you're traveling and you're on these like 2 to 3 months of like work, it's like you kind of really don't have a break to like just sit there and be like, okay, I need a mental health day where I'm just like thinking about myself. It's like, no, you don't have that. It's like you need to get up and go to work. because it's not like you can take off. Like the events are gonna happen, either you're there or you're not. So you have to go there. So it's like nice to have to come home and like still have that relationship with your parents. Because I feel like sometimes it is hard to like be traveling for so long and so often and still have those relationships as strong as they are, you know? So it's like
Yeah.
nice to like hear that you come home and like your parents and your families is your foundation of like where you're gonna keep your like sanity.
And I
Mhm.
and I think it's like important to like find somebody to be honest with how you're feeling, because if you like just bottle it up and like you're just sitting there alone and like going through all of this by yourself, like it's just going to cause so much more resentment and bitterness and like hurting yourself more than helping yourself. So it's really great that you can come home and find your family and find like peace and sanity with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I know mental health has been a huge subject in the past couple of years. I think it is something that's not talked about in
Yeah.
our industry and in a lot of industries, especially I know in the medical industry as well. It's suffering. A lot of people are suffering in the education industry. People are suffering. Um, it's not easy for anybody, right?
Mhm.
Being, especially being in New York, where it is so fast. Everything is fast paced, and you just don't know when to stop. You don't know how to stop at times. Like that's where I have so much trouble coming from New York, from East Coast, and working the West Coast because things, or down south, or working in Europe, because people are just on a totally different time schedule than you are. You're just more attentive. You're just more not that East Coast people are better, but it's just more where you're constantly running for no reason. Like I've caught myself like walking so fast for no reason. I don't even know why I'm walking fast. We all do it, right? From
Yeah,
the East Coast.
Yeah.
true.
And you just kind of take that example and to be like, why am I going so fast in my life? And just taking a step back to be like, all right, I do need to talk to the people that I love the most. That just, or even just being quiet, just
Mhm.
having your own space just to think for yourself and to just ground yourself. It is so difficult to do that at times, but
Yeah.
it's it should be done.
Yeah, that's so true.
All right, guys. We have reached that time. We're gonna do another Hannah segment today with the one and only Joel Abraham, also known as Joel's Wasteland on Instagram. All right.
Like, don't say that.
Wait, is that not his Instagram handle anymore?
It is.
Is
It's been my AOL screen name since God knows when.
So, as you guys heard, Joel goes to all these cool places we all want to be and experiences a lot of different things. So, we're just going to have a little behind the scenes moment and ask him what actually goes on at these events. Are you ready? I'm actually so excited to know what happens at these events.
Same. I want to be there so bad, and I'm so jealous.
Me too. All right, first one we got the Met Gala. What actually goes on here? Because
And to piggyback, do these people sit down in what they're wearing? Because
what happened? No one actually knows what goes on in the Met Gala. Like, no one knows.
So pretty much it's a night of event charities and concerts and all these different types of events. And yeah, it's nothing, you know, it's
do
nothing
people
crazy.
actually eat?
People do actually eat.
Okay,
Okay.
is the food good?
Food is good, but a lot of times it's just at the end of the day, a lot of people want to just go home because it's either so late by the time they start eating dinner.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Do they change their outfits from what they wear on the carpet and then what they wear inside?
No, not at all. It's kind of,
How?
So
yeah.
you're telling me Katy Perry, or was it Katy Perry that wore that hamburger? She actually wore that
You're
hamburger.
telling me Kim
Yeah.
Kardashian ate with the mask on?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
they,
crazy.
so yes, it can be ridiculous at times with certain people wearing certain things. But yeah, I think a lot of times we are still taking photographs while they're still in there, right? So they still have to
Yeah.
have that same outfit on. And secondly, a lot of times they're dressed by the fashion designers and a group of people. So it's hard to remove a lot of things that they wear or that they have.
You know, is it the Mecca that they had that iconic bathroom moment where they're all in there? Have we ever gotten
And
a sneak peek into what goes on in there?
no, no,
What?
no.
What are you guys talking
What is the
about?
bathroom moment?
You don't know that? They like all the celebrities like go to the bathroom and like they just chill out in the
Chill
bathroom.
out. Chill
While
out
people are
meaning doing
peeing?
drugs.
Imagine,
What?
imagine Joel just like popping in there. It's like in the middle.
Yeah, so there's this one time, I think it was either the last Met Gala or two Met Galas ago. I was just, it was towards the end, and I was just using the restroom and was just getting out. And it was probably like 12 a.m. around that time. And I go straight, I'm not even looking, and I bump into Rihanna. And I don't even realize like this is, whoever it is. I profusely just apologize. I'm like, I'm really sorry. And we just look at each other. We're just like, we apologize to each other, and that's it. I'm just going. I'm like, why does these things have to happen? But yeah, you have those like moments, and you're like, okay,
I would have sang to her.
So, Shay, if you sang to Rihanna, no. Okay. Next. So the award shows. What actually are people actually enjoying what goes on at these award shows? What happens like behind the scenes?
Did Will Smith really smack Chris Rock in the
Yes.
face?
Were you there for that?
yes. So I was not inside the show, but I was inside. I was within the vicinity. Yes, it was a huge shock when that did happen. So I was in the editor's room. So pretty much the auditorium is like a couple of steps away. I was watching. We get the production feed in the editor's room. A lot of other people had the cable feed. So I was watching it. Everybody was looking at their computers. Nobody was paying attention. Slap happened, and then I just I was initially confused. I was like, "What just happened?" And then we all like the room. I started hearing other people in other rooms start to go, "What just happened? What just happened?" It was a shock to everybody. We all thought it was part of the act. But when we heard the production audio that came through our room, which was, why did this happen? Like we start to hear the director talk through as well, or just like something just went off the script. When something goes off the script, especially for a big event like Oscars, yeah, there is something going on. So during commercial break, after that segment ended, we went to commercial break, and then, seeing what happened, and we are all just witnessing, all talking about, okay, what just happened? Is this part of a skit or is this part of a real thing? It's like, no, it's part of a real thing. So seeing the production feed, which I can't talk about as much, we start to realize, okay, this is part of something real that just happened. We all went out. There are a couple of actors who were doing interviews in the press room, and they're just getting calls from their talent and from their agent. They're like, this just happened. Don't talk about this, blah, 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 whatever it was. Um, yeah, it was definitely surprising.
That's crazy. Dang.
A lot of moments happen where you kind of, especially in our world, in the photography world, you just have to be there to capture. And those are the moments that really are iconic moments that you'll remember forever.
There's gonna be like a glass thing around the stage. I feel like
That's crazy. So we're gonna do one more. We're gonna talk about the World Cup and how that experience goes for you.
Did you see Jungkook perform live?
Who the heck is John Cook?
BTS.
Manga.
Gosh, Sharon.
So I've seen BTS perform a couple of times before.
Sharon is so jealous.
Yeah, they're great. I think they're any Asian groups are amazing in production.
Have you ever heard of NDIA?
Heard them as well. It's been a long time.
The best Asian group out there.
A bit old school.
Oh,
Yeah.
You didn't see the McDonald's Gospel
Oh,
Awards?
I
They were
did.
there.
I did. I remember tuning in, recording it.
No way.
So how was that? How was that really a lot of pressure to like, because the World Cup, like millions and millions of people are tuning in. So
And it's like multiple days you have to produce
yeah.
like and put out content, right?
Yeah. World Cup and Olympics is really difficult. Summer Olympics, especially. These events are back to back. Every day there's events happening. You hardly get any sleep. Sometimes it's from you get up at 5 a.m. Especially with the World Cup. Just to give you guys a bit of a background, we have a group stage that goes on in the beginning of World Cup. So it's 4 matches that goes on. In Qatar this year, it was a lot easier because it was only in Qatar. So a lot of the stadiums are driving distance. In other World Cups where you have they're in different regions, people had to fly after each game. Or yeah, so it was a lot of there's a lot of difficulties behind it. With Qatar, even though it was easy being in one region, it was very difficult to cover 4 games per day. So your day starts at 5 a.m. and it ends at probably 2 a.m. So you come back, you get 2 or 3 hours of sleep, even if you do get good sleep, and you're just up and running again the next day. So you're doing for how many ever days until group stage finishes. And by the time group stage finishes, you do get a 1 or 2 day break, but even then, it's not enough.
Exhausting.
Yeah, you're just on autopilot that mode.
It's so crazy. I would think like working in this industry is kind of like a luxury, like going to these cool events and stuff. But like hearing you talk about it doesn't seem fun
It's
at
hard
all.
work.
Yeah.
Hard
I would
work.
legit kill someone if they try waking me up at 5 a.m. if I went to sleep at 2. I'd be like, talk to me once and I'll legit murder.
And imagine doing that for 60 days straight without
Yeah,
break.
no,
Oh.
no.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing a little more insight of what you do and what your life looks like, and also just really motivating us. We really appreciate you coming on.
thank you all for just inviting me. I've never talked about myself this long or about myself at all. It feels
Listen, I've
weird.
never heard someone talk about themselves and be so humble.
No,
No,
honestly.
For
for
real.
Thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in. We see you and we love all of you guys. If you guys are not caught up to date yet, go listen to us on all your streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, YouTube. If you need another one, let me know and I'll add it for you. Follow us on Insta. And if you want to ask us questions or talk to us, we have a link in our bio where you can ask us questions or tell us topics anonymously, or you can chat through to us in our DMs. We love to chat. We love to talk. Come talk to us. We love you guys. Thank you for listening again. God bless. Jesus loves you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you
guys.
all.
See you.